Welcome to the MMHP and the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history.
Hello, Michigan music lovers. This is Scott Baker. I want to welcome you to the Michigan Music History Podcast. I am flanked by Michigan music royalty. To the left, Dr. J. To the right, Sir Fred. We cut from just around the block of the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan, here at Studio 163 in Essexville. And now it's time to grab a favorite beverage, hit the cruise, and take a trip back with us through Michigan's rich music history.
This podcast is sponsored by our friends at Electric Kitch, located at 2106 Kosciuszko Avenue in Bay City, Michigan. And now, here's your host, Scott Baker.
Okay, you still play with Question Mark when the whole band's together, right?
The only time I play with a question Mark and the Mysterians is when the original band is together.
Okay.
Bobby's got other bands,
Yeah.
and I sit in because, you know, it's for a good cause. Like last year, he had a thing over here at the park.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it
What
rained
was it?
hard.
Winona
Winona Park.
Yeah,
And,
friendship show.
It was for raising money for poor people.
Yeah.
I saw you leaving because it was raining so
Yeah,
hard.
it-
I had
it-
just
it-
pulled in and I
it-
saw you with your bass putting it in your car, and I
Yeah.
said, "Well, I guess it's done with."
No, it rained pretty hard.
Yeah.
We are back here at Studio 163 in Essexville, Michigan, and we are around the corner from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is now open on Washington Avenue. And Dr. J cannot be here tonight, unfortunately, but we have been blessed with another historical guest. He's sitting right here in the hot seat. Mr. Frank Lugo, how are you doing?
Howdy.
Question Mark and the Mysterians bassist is here in the house. And Tejano music. Fred's got 100 questions. So, Sir Fred, we're going to let you kick it off tonight. We got you on the mic. How's things going, Sir Fred? Everything all right?
Oh, everything's good. I got my books into the museum today,
Excellent. Excellent.
so they're in there.
Woohoo! That's a good thing. You got your books there. You got them at the Electric Kitch, our sponsor now.
Yeah,
Good.
I did my lecture on Sunny Stitt
Yes.
Tuesday, and that turned out pretty good.
You had did you have a pretty good house?
Well, it was all the seats were taken.
That's awesome. And that is available to watch online, right?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Sunny Stitt's a huge thing. That's going to have to be a topic coming up here, too, for you. Just like the Hall of Fame with Gary here, it's kind of a big deal, especially in our area. And we got Mike Beatty in the house tonight. He's our archivist, and he's going to be behind the microphone helping ask some questions when he feels it. You usually hear his voice off mic a lot of times, chiming in with questions that are pertinent. How you doing, Mike?
Doing great. Doing great.
Thank you for being here, Mike.
You're welcome.
And well, I walked in with chills. I haven't seen this man in many years, and we know sometimes it's hard to get people to come in during. And I know we're at the tail end of this COVID phase, but the COVID thing, the drives, whatever it may be. Plus, everybody's kind of still new to this podcast, even though we've been here for about a year. But we have wrangled in some of the coolest guests, and we are just thankful to have you. How you been, man?
Well, I'm on this side of the grass.
That's the best, and you're here, like you said when I got here. You're here.
But you got to remember, yesterday's in the past, tomorrow's the future, today is the present. God gave us a present, another day of living. That's they call it the present. So you enjoy your present.
Well, we are blessed to be enjoying this
That's
present.
right.
Thank you, sir.
That's right.
And as I said earlier, I'm going to let Fred do the Wayback Machine on this questioning because he wants to get into the Tejano side as well as obviously the question mark side. But I think the first question we would probably normally ask a guest is, tell us about how it all started for you. Where were you and how did it begin?
What was that again?
Music. When it started for you, how was it? Where did you live? How did you get the feel to play?
Well, I was born in West Lugo, Texas. And we was migrant workers, and we came to the Saginaw Valley. And my first experience with music was hearing my mother and father do harmonies to traditional Mexican songs. And I never got over that. I said, that's beautiful, man. I'm watching my mother and father sing traditional Mexican songs, which a lot of them are still classics. And that was when I was about 8 years old. And I always did love Mexican music and German music, Polish music, whatever, because they had the accordion in it. And I still love the accordion.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And my older brother played the guitar, and he went to the service and left the guitar behind. He said, take care of my guitar and my car. I said, I'll take care of them. And I started picking and grinning because I went to school here in Michigan, in Vassar, Michigan.
Did you?
Yeah, and there was a few people that could play the guitar, and country western was country western. I mean, guys like Marty Robbins and that sort of stuff. And but one of the biggest artists back then that I remember, and it was the first album I ever bought, was Johnny Cash.
Really?
Oh yeah, Hank Williams Sr. But Johnny Cash was the first album that I purchased.
When you were wanting to go out and get the that record, did you have an idea of records, or did you just know that was the one you wanted and you went to the store and got it?
No, because we listened. We didn't have a lot of TV, but we had the radio, and you would hear that music being played on the radio. And of course, we had an old record player, and I would, listen to that same song over and over and over again. I mean, I just love music.
Did you you still have that record?
No, I had a fire in an apartment that I was living in, and all that stuff that I had is long gone.
So at 8 years old, it occurred to you, and I'm sorry I'm taking the questioning away. I know I said I was going to let Fred do it, but I'm just, now that you're right here telling us these little bits, 8 years old, you were hearing the harmonies, you were into Johnny Cash, you were into Mexican music, traditional polkas and Polish, and you came to Michigan right in the heart of polka land, in a sense, between you were right in the triangle here, we call it, Bay City, Frankenmuth, and Owasso, where you get all three, styles. Did you land here because of music bringing you, or how did you, was it work, or how did you get here?
Well, we was migrant workers, and we worked the sugar beets.
Okay.
Yep, and picked potatoes in Munger.
Okay.
$1 was $1. A good car was a good car. Things were a lot different back then, in the 50s.
You came with your family?
Yes.
When did you begin your bass playing or guitar playing, maybe of your brother's guitar?
Well, I started out with a guitar and came to the big town of Saginaw. And I ran into a fella named David Chantaka, and he had a band called Sir David and the Knights. And he's the one who knew Question Mark and got me, because Question Mark was looking for a guitar player. And that's how I met Question Mark.
Wow.
That group, they were on Pagogo as well, weren't they?
Yes, David? Sir David and his Knights was on Pagogo, which is the original company that 96 Cheers is on. Pagogo.
Okay. Wow. Fascinating. And so your strumming of the guitar brought you to the audition or to a friendship with Question Mark. Rudy Martinez at the time, I'm assuming. Or was he already Question Mark?
He was Question Mark and had blonde hair.
Did he? What was that, about 64, 5?
No, 65, yeah.
5, yeah. Okay. Wow. And now, had they already done some playing as Question Mark and Mysterians back then? Or not yet?
Oh, well, Bobby started the Mysterians, and then later on, Question Mark joined the band, and that's how it started.
Was the little Frank there when you were?
Well, yeah. Within time, the whole original band got together.
Wow. So you were there for the big ride to go record the first record, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
At what point did you think that going to join the music and the band thing, did it break your heart to leave the area and your family for a little while? Did you know what was ahead of you, or were you just going for it?
No, because when I was a kid, my mother wanted me to be a priest.
Whoa.
I said, Mama, I love God with all my heart, but a priest I'm not. She said, son, what do you want to be? I said, Mama, I want to be a musician. And she says, well, you got my blessings, but you got to promise me one thing. I said, anything, Mama. What is it? She says, never sing songs about the devil. I never have, and I never will.
Wow. Kept your promise the whole time and still doing it. I love this. So you took off, started doing some shows, jumped onto the bass. Were you able to afford a bass, or did one just come your way, or how did that work out?
The first bass that I got was Larry Borges is Bobby Balderrama's nephew. They were there because Larry Borges, the bass player, and Robert Martinez joined the service, because you got to remember, this was the era of Vietnam and the draft.
Yeah. And you just happened to say, "I'll take that from you," and can I borrow that? Or he just said, "Here, this is yours."
Yeah, he says, "Here, this is yours."
Yeah. How did you feel about that? Did you you're like, whatever it takes to get into music?
Well, it was, first of all, it was a very wonderful instrument, and I was very grateful to this very day.
Wow, it changed your life at that moment. The passing of the bass.
Man, because things happen so very quickly.
Wow. And that was in Saginaw, right?
Yes, it was in Saginaw.
Do you remember your first show behind the bass?
Well, we did some local gigs, / the Mysterians. Mm-hmm. And one that I remember was when they used to have Battle of the Bands here in Bay City. Mm. Are you familiar with that?
Yes,
actually.
Dr. J, who would have been here tonight, he had a slew of questions about that for you. That's a big topic. A lot of our shows is the Battle of the Bands.
We did a Battle of the Bands with Bob Seger.
Did you?
Wow.
And the Silver Bullet Band, I think they called themselves back then.
That was probably just before the Silver Bullet Band, because he was the Bob Seger system and all that.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Bob Seger system. I think that's what it was. It was Bob Seger, whatever it was. He
shared the bill with him in Bay City.
We did a Battle of the Bands, and Bob Seger won hands down, and he's still winning.
Yeah, he's still out there doing it. Wow. Did you that show? When you started doing them, did that lead to other shows, or how did you guys get booked?
Well, the song 96 Years started taking off, and we left the Saginaw Valley to play bigger markets. Mm. And one of the big shows that we did here in Michigan was at Cobo Hall. And that's when they had the Bay Area, they had the Motown Review. All the big artists were there except Stevie Wonder and the Supremes. But the rest of the Temptations, Four Tops, Marvin Gaye, all the bands from Motown were there.
Wow.
And the Cobo Hall, that was the first big gig that I remember that I played the band with.
Wow.
And
never knew that.
I didn't know. What year do you remember?
Oh, no.
67, 66?
It was
many
moons ago.
Right.
But you know who stole the show? Bob Seger.
Seger was in the house, eh?
Man, Detroit loves Bob Seger.
They do.
Well, Lily Gonzalez was the manager for / the Mysterians. The song 96 Years was on a record company called Pagogo. PA stands for Paulino Bernal, GO for Lily Gonzalez, and the other GO is for Rudy Gonzalez. That's where the name Pagogo comes from.
Never knew that. Yeah. Wow. So they had a hand in getting that 45 out.
Yeah, they had a big part.
Which preceded.
Because Lily owned Pagogo.
Wow. Did they have any other bands on that label?
Well, like I said, David Chitaka and the Knights.
Yeah, okay.
The Butch Burden.
Count the Colony.
Count the Colony.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably after you guys, wasn't it?
Right about the same era.
Yeah, that would have been. I remember seeing the promo photos and the 45 go up on that. So the 45 takes off, gets to radio, and all of a sudden you guys are looking at a record deal to go to record a full length and put that song on it. What was going through your mind at the time?
Money.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Were you making good money at the time? Was it good?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we started making some money.
Yeah.
And you went from getting paid $75 a night till, more money. And once you get more money, well, you can go shopping, you can buy a car.
Yeah. And you were diving right in. Everybody was getting taken care of pretty well.
Well, we started out on the right track, yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's a positive band thing, to have your band knowing that everybody's happy.
Oh, everybody was happy, all right.
And then Neil Bogart came in the picture.
Yeah, we changed from Pagogo to Cameo Parkway. Mm-hmm. And Neil Bogart was ahead of that company, and that's when things started changing. Question Mark started recording with other musicians instead of the original Mysterians. And
that's when it was crumbling.
Yeah, eventually the band broke up.
Well, the first record you did, where did Bobby say you guys went? Was it Cleveland to record, and then New York, or how did that run?
No,
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I thought it was New York City.
It might have been.
Okay, yeah.
So I just remember Bobby's story. He was really upset on the second record when he was told to write songs a lot like other hits, and that's when it kind of frustrated all you guys. Like, we don't want to write songs that are just like our other hits. We want to write our own songs. That's how this works.
See, I totally agree to a certain point.
Yeah.
If it works, keep doing it.
So you were wanting
whatever it takes.
I got you. Okay, so there was two different viewpoints at that time in the band. Okay. And Rudy was obviously, or not Rudy, but Question Mark was starting to even bring in a different guitar player, this or that.
The whole band.
Whole band, yeah. That was by the second record, though, right?
Well, yeah.
The first album, though, you guys got to do all yourselves?
Yeah, the first album, it was all original music, except Stormy Monday Blues.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's cool. Wow. Fascinating. Then the tour started, and you guys were on the road.
Yeah.
Part of tour packages, was it?
Oh, yeah, there was... okay, when 96 Tears hit #1 here in the Saginaw Valley, we left for Texas because Lily lived in Texas, the manager.
Okay.
And one of the bands that we played with was a group called the Dinos. Now, Abraham Quintanilla is Selena's father.
Really?
Selena Quintanilla.
Oh, wow.
So we was doing jobs with the bands because there was bands from Texas, and Lily had not only Pagogo, she had Bagel Records.
Bagel. B-E-G-O?
B-E-G-O.
B-E-G-O. Okay.
And some of the biggest Mexican artists were on that company.
Wow.
I have a bunch of the 45s on that label.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Bagel. And that was mainly down south, though.
Yeah, down in Texas in the Rio Grande Valley.
That was her Mexican label.
McAllen.
Okay.
McAllen, Texas.
So she really got to get, that's your manager. She was a huge part of tying a lot of different artistry together from Michigan to Texas through her own drive. That's just a very early manager that very with a lot of output. It's amazing, like how much she got into it all. That's great because big manager stories don't always happen that fast or have that much, not nowadays they do, or, but back then that's an early entrepreneur, I guess I would say. What was your, did you get to play with the Mexican bands too? Or
yes. We would do gigs, and there'd be some of them bands playing on the bill.
Wow.
And to me, that was a joy that I'll never forget, because like I said, one of the things that I really enjoy is Mexican music.
Yeah. And you came from down there, and here they are, and now you're with them.
Now. And
you got your Saginaw band with them. This is great.
And you have a hit record.
Yeah. Huge. Wow. So,
yeah, I read somewhere that Count in the Colony toured with you guys down in Texas or somewhere.
There was one time that we did go Count in the Colony and Question Mark the Mysterians. We played down south. And Texas and Louisiana.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, coming back around to it, the album comes out on Abco, or not Abco, eventually went to Abco, but Cameo Parkway. And Neil was ready for a second record after a year of touring. Were you writing on the road? How did this start for you?
The band would play a song, and Question Mark would put the words in it.
Oh, so you guys were creating the music?
Yeah, right on the spot.
Yeah. Wow. So and then you guys found by the time the record was getting recorded for that second album, all the stuff that the record company wanted out of you. You were in agreement for a lot of it, which some of the band wasn't in agreement for, and eventually it splintered out. What were you doing in that time? I mean, did you fly back home or come back home after the tour, or what was it?
We would leave for a while and come back. Yeah. Leave for a while, come back.
And then it was over, or how did that pan out?
Well, when the song was popular, we'd be. I remember one time we was on a Greyhound bus with the Outsiders, had a hit song called "Time Won't Let Me." The McCoys had a song called "Hang On, Sloopy." The Shadows of the Night had a song called "Gloria." The Seeds had a song called "Push You Too Hard." And we was on the same bus together.
Was that a Dick Clark thing?
I really don't know who actually did all that, the business part. But I remember being on the road with these guys, and I thought this is something else. This is really, this is it.
I remember seeing you guys on the Dick Clark show. Was it? It wasn't American Bandstand, was it? It was at that time Where the Action Is or something like that?
Well, there was both.
Oh, okay.
Dick Clark had both productions going.
Ah.
And we did both of them, American Bandstand.
I remember you were on the ocean or something.
Yeah, outside.
I remember I was just thrilled. I couldn't believe I was seeing you guys on that show.
That's awesome. That had to be the time of your life. Bobby shared the similar story, McCoys and all those guys, and he's like, he would hit it off with Rick Derringer on the bus, and young Rick Derringer on the McCoys back then, and he shared a lot of that story and how it came to a head in Toronto, was it? And you guys couldn't get over the border or something? Or something happened?
Well, Canada at that time, and I don't know about today because it's been a while since I've been to Toronto and places like that. It's hard to get across unless you have proper ID. Mm-hmm. And Question Mark, they say, "What's your name?" He said, "Question Mark." Said, "Look, boys, don't get funny with me. What's your name?" And this guy is very stubborn. Yeah, man, don't be fooling around with them people, man, because we can get some big time trouble.
And he took it to the nth degree, eh?
Well, they called up the people, the promoters and stuff, and somehow they straightened it out, and we got to play in Canada.
Oh, okay. You made it through. All right. I remember him saying something happened over there, and maybe it was All I know is you guys left a show, is what Bobby said, and you guys couldn't do you guys had the biggest hit in the country at the time, and it kind of upset the rest of the bands. And he saw Rick Derringer years later in Saginaw, and they shared that story. And Rick says, "Oh, we pulled it off though. We made it all right." Do you remember that?
I don't. Which one? Because we was on. Which
I'm not sure what it would have been. The end of the big touring.
I really
don't remember.
Not really.
Okay. What did you do when this was all wrapping up? What were you thinking? Coming back home, or were you putting another band together?
Eventually, we all came home and got jobs and went our own separate ways.
Did you?
You sort of did a one-man band thing for a while.
Yeah,
I remember coming to Eastside Mike and I came to see you play one night, and I thought, this is the best I've ever seen anyone do this type of thing.
What was it?
It was out in Bridgeport at right off the highway there.
Crow's Nest.
That was it.
Yeah, I was doing a solo act for a while there, but this was before karaoke and DJs. Yeah. Like I said, the Saginaw Valley was rich in bars, clubs, whatever, for bands playing live. And then things started getting tight, and they went to solo acts. And that's, I couldn't find anybody really to jam with, and I could find it a lot easier. And besides, it was a big challenge. When you get up there doing the solo act, it's just, at that time I was playing the guitar and the microphone, and you're on your own, pal, and you learn a lot about yourself.
True.
And I love playing anyways, and these clubs that I played at, it was a great time.
And that was through the 70s?
Here we
Way
go.
back then.
Many moons ago.
70s or early 80s, I remember.
Oh, probably.
No.
Pete played with you guys for a while, didn't he?
No. Pete did.
Yeah,
Pete
Pete
Woodman
Woodman.
did. Yeah, he played the drums because Eddie Serrato, the drummer, and we got in a single car accident in Columbus, Ohio, when we was on our way to California to do the Dick Clark show and some gigs out there.
Really?
Yeah, Eddie was driving and he hit some black ice, and we hit a guardrail, and Eddie had about 178 stitches on his face.
Ooh.
He almost bled to death, but luckily people passing by helped us and got us to the hospital, and we came out alive after that. But it was a tragic accident.
Wow. Did you have any close friends in the band? Was it the drummer, a very close friend of yours, or you just did your own thing?
All of us, we was together. We looked out after one another.
Fantastic.
Well, you all were still teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, I was 19 at the time.
Oh.
Who was the oldest one in the band? You?
Question mark was
Question
21.
Oh, was he? Okay. And then you went in the 70s here. You said you became a solo act. What were you playing at your solo gigs? What songs?
A little bit of everything. Light rock,
Yeah.
country. I love country.
What country songs? Johnny Cash tunes? Or
Freddie Fender.
Freddie Fender?
To this very day, when I play in the band and we do Freddie Fender, people like that artist. It's like...
I remember you doing Wasted Days and Wasted Nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my dad was into Freddie Fender. He used to love that. And Marty Robbins and Marty Reeves and Jim Reeves.
Jimmy.
The whole period. Patsy Cline. That was my dad.
Well, that's when country was country.
So you picked up that. You had Mexican music. You had the pop rock you were making with Question Mark. You had a whole bag of stuff. What is that? What you did through the 70s? Just the solo thing, or did you eventually find your way back to a band, or how did it pan out for you, or were you just day job?
After the solo act, I got into doing a Mexican radio program on WKNX in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Okay.
And that lasted for about 13 and a half years, every Saturday morning from 6 to 9.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I met people like Marv Herzog and Jolly John Lipinski, Bob Dyer.
Wow. A lot of the local fame, like yourself, that you guys all.
Yeah, Marv Herzog, he had a polka show on there, didn't he?
Yep, he was. I come on from 6 to 9. Marv Herzog will come on from 9 to noon every Saturday morning. And I would. He was a very friendly gentleman.
This podcast is sponsored by our friends at Electric Kitsch, located at 2106 Kosciuszko Avenue in Bay City, Michigan. They offer new and used records, including local to Michigan original vinyl and CDs, as well as clothing, electronic equipment, funky household items, music gear, and stringed instrument repair. You can find them on the web or call 989-402-1411.
You had a radio show going into the 80s? Or was it throughout the 80s?
You know, things happen so very quickly that I don't keep track of time. I just take it one day at a time.
Beautiful. What's on the timeline there, Fred? You kind of know this better than I do.
No, it was leading up to right where he's just talking about. The Tejano music.
Is that where you headed into after that?
Well, what bands would come through here? I know there were a lot of big dances in Saginaw. But at the time, I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, other than I would listen to Frank's show, but I didn't pay attention to a lot of the names.
So you were doing Tejano music on the show, and
well, I broke it down to about different categories. Like conjunto would be accordion, mariachi, it's horns and violins and guitars, and then there's tropical, like the salsa, mambo type music. Oh yeah, break it up. But I'll tell you right now, only the finest musicians got on that program because there was a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition here in town. I would play some local artists too.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Could you name a few?
Yeah, I was gonna say who.
Well, one of them was Los Camillas, brothers Escamilla, Los Hermanos Escamilla from Chesney, Michigan. They were very popular.
Las Camillas?
Escamilla.
And they were brothers? Or brothers?
Family. It's a family type deal.
Okay. E.S. Escamilla. Okay. Wow.
Did you know I found an album about a year ago by two brothers from Saginaw, the Ortega brothers? Yeah, Ortega. Played guitar, and the other one played the trumpet or something. Or at least that's what the photo.
I really don't know who.
They were playing mostly gospel music. So it's
Are you sure it wasn't the Olivares?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Started with an O, but I think it was Ortega.
No, I think you're talking about the Olivares family.
Okay.
See, these families now, the Olivares were religious, and they would do gospel music.
That could be then, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that family too. And
you mentioned something to me once, Selena. You knew her, or she came?
Well, she came to Saginaw.
Wow.
And the place was jam-packed. And she was the first because I was doing a radio program, and I would do interviews with these artists and promote them like the way we got promoted with Question Mark and the Mysterians back in the day. And she was the first one to give me a CD because CDs were just coming out.
Wow. So this is in the 80s? Yeah.
Many moons ago.
That could be the 90s by then.
Yeah. Selena, yeah.
Selena.
Yeah.
She was pretty young.
You know, so she came here and played, and it must have been jam-packed wherever it was.
It was packed.
And you had her on your radio show?
No, I went to the dance, and when the dance was over with, I got a chance to go in the bus that they were traveling in, and we did the radio spot there on the bus. It was her and her dad, Abraham.
Wow. I would like to get a copy of that or have that available to us. Is that on YouTube now? Do you know?
I
don't know.
I don't believe so. I don't know. No.
I wonder who would have an archive of that. That'd be a really cool thing to have for our area. Put that up.
She was a big star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I met her when she was just getting up there.
I just watched a movie again recently.
Well, that movie, we should have been in that movie because we did tour with her. The movie starts out with her father when he was young, playing with Los Dinos. Well, we was one of the bands that was playing with Los Dinos.
Wow.
Really? That's incredible. Hollywood.
It's all good, boss.
Yeah. I love your attitude, man.
Oh, yeah.
Frank, I love your power. You're all happy. This is so great. The stories are amazing. Your radio show, then the Selena. What other big radio things do you recall that really sparked your love of a good show? Anything else that came through?
What do you mean though?
Music that came through town, or records locally that were impressive to you?
Well, I still to this very day love Elvis Presley, the Beatles, early Beatles.
But I mean, on your radio show, would you sponsor other bands that came to town, like Selena?
I would do interviews with some of the greatest Mexican Tejano bands.
Like
Ramon Ayala, Los Bravos del Norte. Okay. They're very popular all over the world. Individuals like Rubén Vela y su conjunto, very popular.
Did Flaco Jimenez come through here?
Flaco did make it to Saginaw, but I'm a big fan of Flaco Jimenez.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah. Los Fantasmas del Valle, they were very popular. I mean, they would come to town from Texas, Edinburgh, Texas, and play the halls here in town, and they would be jam-packed.
Was it halls in Saginaw? Or where were they at? In Saginaw? Yeah. Okay.
I remember seeing posters for them.
Oh, yeah. They're still having dances locally. But local musicians are playing. But there's a lot of talent here in Michigan.
Still.
A lot, yes.
Who is some of the current, right now, that you could say, oh, I really enjoy this band or this family band or whatever? Who? Anybody?
Well, I took a break from that, and now I'm spending a lot of my time working and spending some time with my family.
So you stepped away from the music thing for...
Well, I practice every day, and while I was waiting for Fred today, I was listening to the Blinkers, and right away that gives me an idea to write a song.
So you're still writing music too?
Well, I'm playing with it because thoughts are there, and for some reason or another, I keep thinking that the reason that I'm still living is because God wants me to record a couple songs that I have written. One of them is called Believing in God, and the other one is, which is, I believe one of the biggest problems that we're having in the world is their governments are taking God out of the picture. And that's one. And two, the other one is called Happy Birthday, Jesus. What's Christmas all about? It's not about Santa Claus. It's partly, but the other part is Jesus Christ's birthday.
Yeah. Called
Happy Birthday, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I think I'm alive today, but I keep putting it up.
So with our grandkids, that's something we do every Christmas. We sing Happy Birthday to Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. So are you do you have a home studio now, or how?
No, I'm so broke. I got married for the rice.
Oh man.
You know, I don't know if you ever seen this where it says, I work for the food.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first guy to do that. Here I was playing in a band that had the #1 song in the nation. The acetate case is full of money. I can't touch it, and I'm hungry.
Wow.
Now my motto is, I don't work for the food. I work for the money. Yeah, because I got to pay bills, boss.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh.
Are there any future coming up, ? In the Mysterian gigs?
Well, that's a big question because, we're not spring chickens anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you guys did go back in the studio in the '90s for Bullfrog Records.
Yeah,
with Chad
but that was
Cunningham.
many moons ago.
I was there for that. Was when I think I first met you. Through that time period, or I nodded at you, or we nodded at each other. But I was writing for the Bay State Times at that point. But what were your memories of recording that record out here in Bay City? Good times.
Yeah, it's always fun recording.
Yeah,
I love recording.
it was like putting riding a bike, just getting right back on and going.
It was what was that fella's name?
Chad Cunningham.
Well, it was his studio, but the fella that was sponsoring taught me a lesson that I'll never forget in my life. That is, you don't cut the hand off that feeds you. Yeah.
What's the story behind this?
Well, come on, you got to eat, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to cut your hand off?
True.
About 10 years ago,
Oh man.
I had booked Lazy Lester in New Orleans, and you guys were on the bill. I remember Bobby and Little Frank met Lester, and Lester told Frank or somebody who was smoking a cigarette, put that thing down, because he had quit smoking. And Frank got real mad at him for, you don't tell me what to do, or something like that. Do you remember that gig? That was about 10 years ago.
I
For Dr. Ike.
There was so much going on. I can't remember.
I think it was at the not the Hard Rock Cafe, the House of Blues.
House of Blues. I remember playing there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
So it's ? He still live in Clio area? Is that where?
Yeah, ? is living with his manager, Laverne Thompson.
That's his name.
Yeah, Laverne. Q's staying with him, and they're raising horses, and they live out they got a little farm. But Q is scared to death of this COVID thing, and he doesn't want to play out.
But you guys did enjoy. You guys were back in Rolling Stone. You were in New York City, playing the hot parties, back on top of the world by what, 98 was it? 97, 98, 99? Yeah. Anyway, how was the ride back? I mean, was it like money? Is that all that you were thinking about, or was it just disbelief that you guys could come around again?
Well, we just take it one day at a time. Whatever comes our way, we.
You're super grateful. I get that.
Well, yeah.
Man.
Must have been a thrill at that New York gig when Ronnie Spector jammed with you guys.
Well, first of all, it was a thrill playing, a location like that because we
Right.
were outside.
Bowery Ballroom?
And then
Well, no, it was a Lincoln Center of the Arts.
Lincoln
or something.
Square.
Okay.
Lincoln Square.
And she got up on stage and starts singing along ?
Was that planned or?
No, it just happened.
Ah.
Yeah, and that was really, really neat, man, because I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, they look good up front singing together.
What a pair. Yeah, what a rock and roll pair right there. That's like Tina Turner and Mick Jagger,
Yeah.
In a sense,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the other version of it right there. Wow. But did you have anybody else on that tour sitting in on certain nights, jamming? Because I remember a lot of people coming out of the woodwork saying they were huge fans. I wondered if anybody popped in and jammed with you guys or hung out with you guys.
Not that I could remember,
No?
Didn't you guys go to Greece?
Yeah, we went to Athens, Greece,
Wow.
and we got a lot of fans in Europe. I'll tell you that much. But the guys are so afraid of flying because of 9/11, and now this COVID thing is going around because what's the name of that gentleman that owns Virgin Records? Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Wants us to play in London. We could leave on a Friday night, play Saturday night, be back Sunday, and we made some good cash.
Virgin Airlines guarantee on that one.
Oh, yeah. But the guys are afraid of flying.
Is this an offer for this summer, you're saying?
Well, we had...
It was an offer.
It was an offer, but like I said, we had to turn it down because some of the guys wanted to go, some of the guys didn't want to go. Myself, I said, come on, let's go.
Damn. So I'm sure there'll be a few more offers, but like you said, you're not spring chickens anymore.
We're not spring chickens, but if the opportunity comes and everybody is up to it, I'm ready.
Awesome.
I mean, that song, as soon as you hear little Frankie doing that little riff, you know what it is.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Generation.
That changed the world.
Even today.
But wait a minute. We said earlier that we don't want to do songs that sound just like 96 Tears. Well, we did one that it starts out with the same riff. Oh. It's called Can't Get Enough of You, Baby.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Remember, that's the one that Bobby said.
Right.
You guys had.
But I saw Randy Travis.
Yeah.
And he did da-da-da-da, and the people went wild. The guys were just warming up. And the people went wild. I says, that's what we got to do. Do da-da-da-da-da, and Can't Get Enough of You, Baby. Get the people warmed up for 96 Tears. See, that's where I differ from the other guys. Mm-hmm. I would love to do that.
I got you. Wow.
Because it's very effective.
And that song did come back around as well. But just like 96 Tears, that song, Smash Mouth.
Oh, yeah. Some group did it.
Or was that the band?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Wow. Do you see any royalties or writing royalties? Did you get to write any of those songs back then?
Well, once in a while we might get morsels
from the big check.
Yeah, but
no,
nothing to write home about.
I got you.
Didn't Bobby say that Abco or Klein, what's his first name?
Klein got Abco now, yeah.
Yeah, and he won't release any of all that stuff?
That Casablanca stuff or the...
Cameo Parkway.
Yeah.
Because Bob Seger was on there, Terry Knight and the Pack. I mean, he must have came to Michigan and signed a bunch of bands.
Yeah. Or he just got the catalog. Or that was Neil.
Neil Bogart,
right?
At that time, yeah.
Put all that together. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Frank, you're something else, man. I love having you here. It's like having a big aura sitting right by us. Any other bands that really fit the bill for you that you'll never forget?
Well, one of the artists that really knocked me out was Carlos Santana. The first time I heard him at Pine Knob, I said, man, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Carlos Santana.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What about local artists? Anybody around this area or a record that you remember that was fantastic, or a bill you shared with a local artist for Michigan? Since we're a Michigan music podcast, we're gonna try to hone in on Michigan artists. Anybody else you can think of from around here?
Is that Sir David, whatever his last name is? Is he still? Bobby said he was still playing.
Well, he's doing a karaoke type deal with mariachi music in the background, and he does the singing.
Really?
Yeah, David does. He does a good job too. Yeah.
Is any place right now where he's playing?
I really don't know. I see him every once in a blue moon.
Because I don't have very much information on that band, even though I have a listing. Bobby told me they were on Pagogo. Then Pagogo has their own, or someone does, a website. Maybe it's Garage Bands or something. But it lists all the people on the label, which there aren't that many. And Bobby had said, Sir David, they were from Saginaw.
Well, David's the one that got me into Mysterians.
Oh.
Yeah. David Chintaka.
So Sir David is David Shattuck.
Right, I
That's
got
what-
his last
okay,
name, but
Okay.
and Butch Burton, he's still doing it.
Yeah, counting the changes.
Counting, I like it. First time I heard that, I thought, perfect. From counting the colony to counting the change. I like that.
Yep. So you have any gigs lined up for this year, or anything in the other than recording those 2 songs? Hopefully.
No, just that's my main objective for this year. I gotta get them recorded. Because every time I play them out, people says, "Hey man, when you record a CD, I want to buy one."
Really.
So the public likes some songs.
Right.
Because first of all, it's new.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what the market needs, and I could do it very easily. But I keep. They say your worst enemy is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where I'm at.
You're comfortable. And you're not,
Well, you know, I've been there. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
But I something tells me I have to do this because that's what the Lord gave me this talent for.
Well, He gave you to us, and we thank you for being here, sitting with us today. We thank you for your time. We thank you for the many moons that you've offered us. We thank you for the music. We thank you for your memories. And we thank you for everything that you've brought to the world of music, man. Thank you for coming today.
Okay, but you got to remember one thing, though. Life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
Unfortunately, that's
Thank
true.
you. All right.
We'll see you.
The MMHP is hosted on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our own Libsyn podcast site. You can also search MMHP 989 on Facebook for up-to-the-minute information, as well as both Dr. J and Sir Fred's album picks of the week, posted every weekend. You can connect with Scott on the web at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and the Electric Kitch at electrickitch.com.
This podcast wouldn't be here without special help from Studio 163's Alan Garcia, our podcast videographer and wingman, Mr. Mike Beatty, MMHP tagline specialist, Mr. Eddie Switek, and of course, Gary Johnson, Fred Rife, the Electric Kitch, and all of our special guests, and especially you listeners. We want to thank you.
You've been listening to the MMHP and the 989. From all of us at the podcast, we want to thank you for tuning in.